Hey guys, we are pleased to say that we are associated with the Sophie Lancaster Foundation charity. And now, a message from one of our supporters.
Hi, I would like to put a bit of a shout out to the Sophie Lancaster Foundation. I would just like to say a massive thank you and a well done, and also with my biggest heart, the sorrow that you're still going through for Sophie's death. But please remember, what you are doing is incredible. You've helped so many people open up to be who they want to be, how to dress, how they feel, everything. The times are changing, and with the unfortunate death of Sophie, those changes have made a massive impact for the future. If Sophie was with us still today, I can guarantee what you are doing will still be reaching so many lives of young teenagers, young adults, and those who wish to be as different as possible. So thank you very much. Everything you're doing is incredible, and I carry on supporting the Sophie Lancaster Foundation. For now, stay safe.
To learn more about this wonderful charity, head on over to www.sophielancasterfoundation.com.
Hey Jamie, do you like being cozy?
I do.
And do you like staying cozy?
I like that even more.
Then just heading over to www.staycozyclothing.com,
where you can find hoodies, tees, sweaters, and much, much more, with a new fall line out now.
And just enter the Chronicles as one word at checkout to receive 10% off your order.
And make sure you follow them on the Instagram at Stay Cozy Clothing to keep up to date with all the new designs.
Remember, guys, that's the Chronicles as one word at checkout to receive 10% off your order.
What does that say behind you? I'm trying to read it.
Vote.
No, the other one, in the little frame. Was it fuck
this right here?
That's it.
Yeah. It says fuckboy free zone.
That's brilliant.
My friend Claire made it for me.
That is fantastic.
My old roommate made those for me. Yeah.
That is absolutely
Legend.
amazing. How are you anyway? Are you good?
Me, I'm good. Yeah, I just got back from a walk. I went for I left the house at I want to say 7:30 in the morning, and just got back.
Damn.
Oh, wow. It's
I
going to
like
be
a long walk. What can I say?
It's going to be nodding off.
Podcasts to catch up on.
Where'd you go?
Just all around, just in the neighborhood. There's a lot of hills in the area that I'm in, and these random staircases that just lead to more streets. And I went up and walked all around. It was really nice. It was a really, really nice morning. And then I went to the market and I picked up some produce and brought it back and took a 5-minute nap, and we're good to go.
Perfect.
Love
Good to
it.
podcast.
Love it.
Let's do it. Jamie.
Right, so basically how this normally works is I do a little intro, just introduce you to our listeners, and then we just throw a ton of questions at you.
Great. You guys know how to say my name?
I was literally just about to say, can I just double check the pronunciation of your name?
Rivkah Reyes.
Yes, I was saying it right. Fuck yeah.
Yay. Okay, great.
Go me.
I can
Wonderful.
swear. On the
Oh,
Yes.
God,
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
Fuck yeah. All right. Fuck.
Amazing. Right, let's go. Ladies and gents, this week we bring you another glorious guest. This week's guest has more talent in their little finger than me and Tom have combined, to be quite honest. They're an actor, a musician, a comedian, a podcaster, and a spiritual being. They first came to fame as the badass Katie alongside Jack Black in School of Rock, but that is only a small part of this amazing person. Everybody, welcome to the show, Rivkah Reyes.
Hello. Hi, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for doing this.
Really, really appreciate your time. So, Rivkah, how has your last year been?
My last year has been wild. I've learned a lot about myself, my desires, my dreams, and I think this last year was a lot about destruction, and this year is now more about like rebuilding. It's kind of that thing of like, in order for like things to be rebuilt, they have to like fall apart first. So we're just doing a lot of visioning of my future. So yeah, lots of tears, lots of lessons, lots of blessings. But I'm grateful that, I'm honestly a little grateful that the pandemic happened, because it, definitely cleared out a lot of people from my life that I, didn't need in my life.
Yeah.
Not the pandemic, like nobody died, like nobody that I know.
Good.
But the real friends stuck around, and like the family, the like chosen family got stronger, and everyone else kind of just is everyone else.
It's quite a beautiful way to look at it, to be like, there's not a lot of people like, it was shit, it was shit, this happened, but the way you've interpreted it is that's lovely. It's good. Even though obviously everything had to fall apart first, but now the rebuild has begun and everything is just absolutely marvelous. That's what I'd like to hear. But during all of that, did you teach yourself anything? Like, did you learn a language or a new skill or anything like that at all?
Yeah. So I learned how to read the Akashic Records, which is not a physical document or anything like that, but it is this kind of liminal, universal database of everything that was, everything that will be, and everything that is presently. And I read this book about how to open them, and started following this company called Holisticism that taught like a 14-day little crash course on how to open them for yourself. And now I open them for other people. And it's super cool. It's like a fun psychic superpower that allows me kind of access into worlds outside of my own understanding.
That's
wow,
really cool.
Okay, everyone's jaws are on the ground. Everyone's giving me a standing ovation.
But I'd assume that must play a huge part in this rebuild, as you've said.
Definitely. I use them to open, I open my own records, maybe once every couple of days. And I ask them big questions like, about my purpose, about my path. And also small questions like, what color should I wear today? They do have the answer to everything. As long as it doesn't have like a timestamp on it. That's the only boundary really. They're like, we don't really understand time, because time is like this thing that we kind of made up. And other than that, I could really, as far as, what patterns should I put on my website for, the branding, and like, what words should I, use in my Instagram bio, things like that. But also like, what should I be looking for in a lover? Like, it does really, it is a very broad and roomy place to be. And it has helped me a lot in future casting, like basically looking at, what the road ahead for me looks like. And that is kind of how my podcast was born.
That's amazing.
Beautiful.
That is amazing. So obviously we want to talk a bit about your backstory, because it's what we like to do on here. We like to chronicle people's tales. So I was reading you got into performing at a very young age. I believe I already started playing guitar at 4. Was that right? Mm-hmm. That's mental.
Yeah. That's,
Was performance something you always wanted to get into, or is it just, I think the guitar is really cool?
I really didn't have a choice, honestly. Like it wasn't like I was asked what I wanted to do. A lot of my friends were asked when they were kids, like, hey, like, what do you want to do? Dance? Do you want to do gymnastics, sports? Like, what do you want to do? And they were given the options. I had a lot of friends who were like randomly into ice skating, and I was just like, that would have been cool. That would have been a cool thing to do. God, like I wish I had gotten some kind of athletic skill. That's the one area that I'm very lacking in. Like my athleticism is like walking is enough, and even that I'm like winded. But no, I mean, I was not really given an option. The option that I was given was like, I think my parents like knew like that they had pretty much, you know, set in stone that I was going to be a musician. And they gave me the choice of guitar, violin, cello, piano, and flute, I believe were the choices that I was offered. And I picked violin at first, but I had one violin lesson and I didn't quite like it. And so I opted for guitar because I felt like it was close to violin enough. But I still got to, I still got to try guitar out, and it ended up being my favorite thing in the world for many years. I mean, from when I was like 4 till when I was 10 and I got bit by that acting bug. Like I was a very serious, you know, morning I would practice, night I would practice, lunch I would practice, dinner I would, whatever, you know, I would kind of use the guitar as like a means to escape for a little while. And then acting kind of happened for me, and I was just like, yeah, this is actually what I want to do.
That's good. I'm just thinking though, when I was 4, if someone said to me, what instrument do you want to play? I'd be like, I don't even know what half of these things are.
I think I just want to spin around and do roly-polies all the time, I think is what I did at 4 years.
Now, are roly-polies in the UK something different than what they are here?
Where you like do a forward roll.
So we call that a somersault, and roly-polies in, at least where I'm from in Chicago, are little bugs. They're the little bugs that are like, they roll into little balls. Have you ever seen them?
Really? I've seen them, yeah. But
what are they called in the UK?
I don't, insects? I don't know.
Roly-poly bug. They're called pill bugs. But I don't know what they're called in your neck of the woods, but we call them roly-polies.
I know it's a dessert.
Wait, roly-polies is a dessert?
Yeah, jam roly-poly, yeah. Yeah, I know those.
You know, you've seen these.
Yeah.
You guys don't have a name for them?
It's like
not that. I mean, my insect knowledge is not.
It's like a woodlouse, that sort of thing.
Woodlice. Yeah, that is it. Yeah. Or doodle bugs, some people call them.
Yeah, I've heard that. So they're called roly-polies.
In America, yeah. But they're called woodlice.
But there we go.
Because I thought a somersault was when you were off the floor.
No.
Really? Am I getting an education here?
Am I crazy? No. Wait, what's a somersault?
So I thought a somersault was where you flip in the air and land on your feet.
Now, okay, well, hold on. See, I told you I didn't get into gymnastics. I got into guitar. Somersault definition. Okay.
So you're thinking of as a roly-poly. It's like a forward roll, isn't it? It's another way of isn't it?
A tumble is what I was thinking of. A somersault is, in fact, when you are in the air.
Yeah,
I was wrong. I was wrong. You were right. Tumbling is like tuck and rolling and doing.
Yes, that's what I was doing at 4 years old.
Great.
Not as exciting as learning guitar and becoming incredible at it. I just wanted.
That was how we got into that conversation. I couldn't remember then. So you said you got bit by the acting bug. How did that transition happen from going from playing guitar to acting?
So through my guitar lessons, I got the opportunity to be on this NPR show called From the Top, where they took classically trained kids to perform their like best piece and showcase them. And, sometimes they would do little interviews with the kids. And for my interview, I was like 9 years old at the time. I had just lost the school spelling bee, and it was like, I was really sad about it because I had won a couple years before, 2 years in a row, and I was just like bitter. And I lost I lost the 4th grade spelling bee and then went on this From the Top show. And it's so funny now thinking about it, because if I hadn't lost that spelling bee, I might not have been charming or had something interesting enough to go on From the Top. And From the Top is how the casting directors for School of Rock found me. They brought me into audition. They called in a bunch of people from that show that had been classically trained, myself and Robert Tsai, the actor who played Lawrence, the piano player in the movie. They called us in from that. And like, yeah, I don't know, like it's so wild to think about the fact that if I hadn't, lost the spelling bee and been bullied endlessly and had that resentment, I maybe wouldn't have had anything super interesting to say in my little phone call interview that I had before getting selected to be on From the Top. And if I hadn't been on From the Top, I definitely wouldn't have been scouted for School of Rock. So there you go, So yeah, School of Rock was my first professional audition. I definitely was spoiled in that I booked the first job I ever auditioned for. And it gave me a pretty unrealistic expectation of the industry of show business as a whole. But, once I was on set, even though like it was intimidating and like all the lights and cameras and stuff were super scary. And, every time I'd like look in like the camera, like I would be like, I can't fuck this up because time is money. And being like employed at 10 years old, like was such a wild concept to me. But I did really love the being on set and the, getting to work with other kids and like getting to, live in a hotel in New York for a couple months and then go back to school and then like leave school and like go travel and, meet the Olsen twins and all that. And like, then go back to school and then travel again. And I really did like that elusive, Hollywood vibe to a point where it then became my mission to book something bigger than School of Rock so I could continue the momentum. And then when that didn't happen, I was just so defeated that I was just like, well, fuck this. But I continued to act because it was just something about that being on set and like stepping into a character that, and I majored in theater and, I continued to do plays and my, in Chicago, like professional, theater work and stuff like that. And doing like indie films and web series of my friends and, auditioning here and there. But acting, I think is always what I was meant to do. Because I find that storytelling is really what I was meant to do.
Yeah. Did you ever think that School of Rock would be as absolutely massive as it became?
No, I wasn't expecting it to have as much of a kind of handprint on the heart of like pop culture as it has. And it's so funny. I was just like on a date very recently, and the person she brought up, we didn't even talk about School of Rock. I don't even think she knew who I was, like, which I like it that way. And she mentioned like my dad's face. She was like, her dad, I guess her dad's favorite movie was School of Rock. And I didn't say anything. And she was just like, yeah, my dad just like loves Jack Black so much. Like School of Rock is his favorite movie. And I was just like, that's really cool. I didn't say anything because I was like, would it be weird if I said something? Like
it's
maybe she knew.
Yeah, just trying to pry it out of you, like, come on, feed it to me, come on.
Maybe she knew. I don't know. I'm very bad at reading situations like that, but yeah, I try not to bring it up especially when it comes to like dating and stuff, because I wouldn't want anyone to like put that on me, like if that makes sense. Like I wouldn't want that to become the whole thing. But yeah. I mean, it's just wild that School of Rock had such a impression on people. I still get messages from folks saying like, your character inspired me to like pick up an instrument and play. And I'm like, that's really nice. I'm glad that I could be that for you, because I didn't have like a person that inspired me to pick up an instrument. Like, you know, it was like just something that was like put upon me. And I'm grateful for that, because it is what I love to do. And I love performing, and I love singing and playing and storytelling and all that. And, you know, I think songwriting is another form of storytelling, but like, yeah, really, like I think about this a lot, especially with my podcast. Like, one of the questions that I ask all my guests, like, is who was your Matilda? Because for me, Matilda was where I first felt seen in media, because this like little girl who, you know, had kind of a, you know, dysfunctional family, and you know, she could move stuff with her mind, and I was very witchy ever since. I mean, I've always been really witchy ever since I was a little kid. But yeah, like that was more, you know. So when people say like you were the, like you were it for me, like the person that I saw on screen and saw myself in you, I was just like, that's an honor, because, you know, having had that experience with watching Matilda and then watching Harry Potter and whatever, you know, it is like a true honor to have that.
So that must be so cool to hear, especially like not only because as an actor, but as a musician as well. It's like a twofold. That's going to be really cool to hear. So when you were doing the movie, though, did you quite understand the gravity of being in a movie with Jack Black, Joan Cusack, and not even Miranda had a name at that point from Drake and Josh and whatnot?
Yeah. She wasn't. Miranda hadn't. Drake and Josh hadn't come out yet at that point.
Oh, it was Drake and Josh after. I thought it was before.
She had just filmed the pilot when we were shooting School of Rock. She had like come from shooting the pilot of Drake and Josh to School of Rock, and then she shot the rest of the series after. But she was super like humble about it. Like, I didn't even know what the fuck a pilot was when I was a kid. I was like, what's a pilot? Like, I don't like an airplane? Like what? But Jack was super humble. Everyone was such a delight to work with. Like, I didn't know who Sarah Silverman was until after the fact. And then I realized, I was like, wow, she's like so cool. She's got all this like amazing comedy, and she's like so controversial. Joan Cusack was our neighbor in Chicago. So like, she was just Joan, from down the street.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Cause I grew up in Chicago, like literally around the corner from her. So she was just Joan, who happens to also be an actor who lives, you know, around the corner from us. Jack was, I mean, he made it so difficult to be starstruck, because he was just so like, he was a worker among workers, you know, he was just with us. He was one of us. And there was never any like snooty, like, you know, oh, I'm the star and you guys are just the like little like animals that they like brought in to like, you know, make me look good. Like, it was never like that. He was always so kind and so fun, and we just had so much fun working with him, because he was so kind, and everyone on the set was super nice to the kids. That's not the experience that all child actors get when, you know, working in film. But we were very fortunate to have that. And yeah, before we went into production, I like watched a couple of Jack's movies under the supervision of my mother, because some of his stuff was kind of risque for a 10-year-old to watch. But I watched a Shallow Hal and clips of some clips of Tenacious D that were like appropriate, and was like, oh, he's cool. Yeah, he's really funny. Like, wow, cool, nice. But again, I like didn't really understand the magnitude of you know, of him, you know, being there. And then, yeah, just he's such an icon. I mean, he's the funniest person alive, one of the funniest people alive, and just such a clown.
That's what we love.
Yeah. So did you get along with like all the other kids? Is it like a bit of a family sort of thing?
Yeah, we were very much a family. I mean, like, yeah, we were like ranging from 4th to 8th grade when we shot that. And, you know, we had our little moments of like kind of bitchiness and like whatever. But like for the most part, like I would say for 90%, we were like just madly in love with each other. We like all would sit together at lunch, and like we'd play with, you know, we'd play little video games or go to the movies together. Like we were constantly hanging out offset and on set. Like because we shot the film over 4 months in New York, and not everyone was from New York. And so we would like go see plays on Broadway. We'd go to the movies. We'd go get dinner at Benihana. We would go to like there was this like Jekyll and Hyde restaurant in New York that we would love because it was like so scary. Like,
oh, wow.
Scary themed. It was like a horror themed restaurant that we loved so much. And we go to Benihana all the time. And we would just like walk around Times Square because like some of us had never been to New York before. Like I had been because I've got family in there in New York, but yeah, it was so cool. And we'd go to the Wax Museum, and there's like photo albums upon photo albums in my parents' home of just like us on set and off set, like just bopping around New York, living our like best lives. And today we have a thriving group chat. We were texting yesterday because somebody tweeted about the guy who played Spider in the movie, and if you guys don't know, Spider,
I saw this article yesterday.
He's the one who he replaces Dewey in No Vacancy, and he's like the kind of like hot guy in the band. And I found this tweet that was like, just so you guys know, Spider from School of Rock is now the district attorney of Tyler County in Texas. And there's like a picture of him like being sworn in. We were all just like, what? And some of the other kids were like, oh, you should get him on the podcast.
Do it.
Yeah.
I don't know what to ask him. I don't know anything about politics, especially not in Texas, but I think it would be cool to have him on the show. There are a couple people from School of Rock that weren't kids like that I want to have on the show so badly. Like, some of the guys from No Vacancy were so cool. And like, I don't know. I mean, even the people from the Broadway show, like that was spawned off of the movie, like are really cool. Like I'm still like in contact with some of them. And yeah, like it is such a family, an ensemble, a team. And our group chat is called Schneeble.
Brilliant.
That's amazing.
Brilliant.
That's incredible. It must have been like quite tough though, keeping all of these kids entertained, keep you all calm because you're out of your comfort zone. Like a lot of you said, you weren't from New York, and I assume education continued in some form of way, and that's just the kids alone, let alone the parents trying to keep them calm and sane for it all as well.
God, yeah, the moms were another story. They're the moms were wild. They would, it was funny because sometimes they would leave, they would like pay the onset tutors to babysit us while the moms would like go out and get drunk.
What?
And they would just like leave us in our hotel. Like, yeah, there was a night where it was just the girls, and like, it's like me, Miranda, Caitlin, Miriam, Alicia, Jordan, Veronica. And we were all in, I think, my hotel room. And all of the moms had like gone out for a like girls' night out. And one of our on-set teachers, whose name was Missy, she got to stay with us, and we had like a little slumber party hotel moment. It was very sweet. The moms were like all, their own family. And they are all still in contact, I believe. I wouldn't really know. It's funny because I talked to some of the moms from the film more than I talked to my own mother. So it's like, it's pretty wild. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, I forgot what the question was at this point, but yeah, we all
easy done.
The kids. Oh yeah. No, keeping us entertained was really easy because kids are so easily entertained. We on set, they had these little, this is horrible, super racist now, but they're on set were these little figurines called homies. They were these little like inch sized figurines of like, they were like black and brown like characters from the hood, and they were all like cholas, and like they were like Papi Chulo, and like this one is like D-Rod from the hood. Like literally they were so cringe, but we loved them so much. We collected them. Like the PAs would like buy us homies because we were just like addicted. So we would like play little games with
There was me thinking that you had these figures and you'd made this homie stuff. They were actually called homies. There was a
They
real
were literally
thing.
called homies. They were so bad.
Oh,
I'm sure you'd be able to
wow.
like research, like find them online, and they're so bad. They're just like so stereotypical. And we would like create little backstories for them and stuff. And you know, it was pretty. We were pretty creative. Like, this is her baby daddy, and like. And then, like I said, we would play Ouija boards. Like, we would play Dance Dance Revolution.
Amazing.
What's that?
Dance Dance Revolution is fantastic.
So fun. And then,
Well,
like,
now.
we had onset tutoring too, because we were filming during school. And they had like the older kids separated by grade from the younger kids. And it was really, really fun. I mean, I really loved being able to get away from school, because in my actual school in Chicago, I was not very happy. I was very like odd kid out, because I wasn't sporty or athletic at all. And I was kind of just like the weird classical guitar girl. Like, and like, I don't know, like the kids we would always have a talent show, and I won a couple times, which was cool. But like, it would always be like a bunch of like kids like doing like these like hip hop dance routines, or like doing like martial arts. And then I would come out and play like a very serious classical guitar piece. And people were just like, what the fuck is this? Like, who do you think you are? But yeah, it was nice to have that escape. And again, like, you know, we would, and then for School of Rock, everyone was talented in their own weird ways too. So we would do little talent shows and sing, and we'd go to karaoke nights, and yeah, it was such a blast.
I mean, I'm really sorry to hear about what happened with your school life, because people could be dicks. Really,
kids are
dicks.
fucking dicks. Kids are assholes.
And
people are still. I mean, then those kids that you know were assholes to me grew up to be assholes. So like, you know, they're people still on my my Instagram, like, and of course I gotta have better hygiene about like reading the comments and stuff. But like, the podcast has come out. Now the podcast has come out, I've been getting mostly like incredible reviews and like, you know, warm reception, and people being like, yes, thank God you're doing this. We need this. And then there's like every so often one person who I'm like, in my mind, I know who it is, because, you know, I'm like, oh, it's probably that bitch from like Pritzker Elementary who like just always was jealous of me. I don't know if it's them or not, but like, you know, being like, oh, you did grow up, you did one movie, nobody fucking cares, like go get, you know, a degree or something, and like be a doctor. And that, of course, will always be the comment that I obsess over and spiral out on. But I know that ultimately that person is hurting and just has nothing better to do but to knock somebody more powerful and exciting than they are down.
You got to remember that, though.
Sorry.
Exactly. You know, it's you are one talented, you know, you're a prominent force in Chicago's music and theatre scenes as well. You're heavily involved in improv comedy. You've got your own podcast, in a movie. You can play classical guitar. I mean, see you later.
How many shotguns?
Yes, like people wind me the fuck up though, because I hate it when people are like, oh yeah, I think we interviewed a makeup artist back last year, and her ex-boyfriend was like, you'll never amount to anything, you know, look at you, who do you think you are? And now she's got this millions of followers doing, like, her work is unreal.
Yeah, well, she showed him.
Exactly.
And now it's like, at this point, I'm not trying to do anything to show that, like, you know, I'm not like, oh, you know, for a while I was like, definitely I got addicted to like trying to book the next thing so that I could like kind of walk away from the shadow of School of Rock. But now that I'm kind of like leaning into it, and, you know, because people love it so much, and, you know, I don't care if if School of Rock is the biggest thing that I will ever do, you know, to you all, like, you know, like, because I know that like some of the coolest stuff that I've done has been in an attic with an audience of 40 people, with just me and my guitar singing about getting my asshole licked. And like, you know, only those 40 people get to see that production. Only 40 people get to see that.
That's amazing.
you know, and that is some of my best work, and only those 40 people got to see that performance that one time, right? And you know, I would take the feeling of like doing a bar show in Chicago or New Orleans or New York over like, you know, million followers, check mark on my profile anyway. And I say that now knowing that fully like an hour after I hang up on this call with you guys, that I'll be scrolling and spiraling on Instagram again. It is just like, I have to say out loud, like, no, Riv, like, you've done so many cool things. It's not, you are not your career. You are not your money. You are not your following. You're just, you know, you're so special. And like, you know, but I just have to continually remind myself that throughout the day. I have little Post-it notes all over. Like I'm looking at them right now. Like I have one up there that says you're enough. I have one in my bathroom that says you're not your career. And then I have one on the fridge that says I love you. And like, you know, I have to just set these little reminders for myself that I'm not a giant bag of shit for like only having done one like pretty well-known film. Because the reality is I have 2 films coming out in, you know, 2021. One is already out and like doing festivals, and, you know, the other one is still getting submitted for festivals. But like, again, like, whoever is meant to see those features gets to see those features. Whoever is meant to see my bar shows gets to see my bar shows. And it's, you know, all for me. It's not happening to me, and like the world isn't against me. It's all just like all of this is happening for me, for us.
So that's the way it's your life at the end of the day. If you enjoy those bar shows, that's your life you're living. You live in that moment. Who gives a rat's ass what them down the street know you're from? It's what you know in your life. It's exactly that. Can't sound better, can you? Now, obviously you said, you know, life did get pretty damn rough for you once the movie came out. You know, I fact, you know, it came very public after the New York Post article, and the blog piece that you wrote over the past few years. But for those that don't know, obviously I don't want you to go into detail and depress yourself and, you know, get upset about it. But what was life like for you after the movie came out?
You know, coming back to school, kids were either very nice or very, very mean, and there was no middle ground. It was either like, that's so awesome, we're so glad you're back, we missed you, or what do you think, you're fucking better than us? You think you're a big movie star now, huh? You're still a piece of shit in our eyes. Like, you know, and it's like, okay, I am. You know, I had simultaneously boys paying attention to me for the first time in like a way that I wasn't used to, that felt very good. And like the validation of it was like, oh, tight. Like now that I am like a celebrity, I guess, in Chicago, like I get attention and validation for, you know, that, so I can use that to make friends. Or like people being like, oh, like she's just like really stuck up about School of Rock, even though I totally wasn't. Like I wasn't going around being like, I should get special treatment because I was in this movie. But yeah, I remember there was like a girl who was like, hey, I know I've been really mean to you in the past, but I love School of Rock. I loved it so much, and you were so good in it. And I just think it would be really cool if we could like bury the hatchet and like be friends. And I was just like, that's so sweet. Yeah. And she was like, can I have your autograph just so I can remember you? And I was just like, of course. And I signed her like little lunch card, and then she like tore it up in front of my face and was just like, just kidding, you stupid bitch. And I was just like, I'm 10. Like,
what the fuck?
Fucking hell.
Kids are twisted. I'm telling you, they're twisted. And, you know, it was fine. And, you know, I did have friends at school at that point who were really cool. And like, they would like defend me and like be on my side. I'm like, hey, that's like really not nice. Like, you shouldn't treat her like that. You know, what did she ever do to you? But for those people, I know I've like forgiven all of them, because you were a kid, you were probably going through some shit of your own, and yeah, that girl specifically I remember was like very ugly. So yeah, I think she was probably just going through that, like that whole thing of like being ugly, and just needed somebody to take it out on. And I was a very beautiful child and still a very beautiful adult. So
absolutely.
I'm totally kidding. I'm such a fucking asshole for saying that. Oh, God's gonna get me for that one.
Nothing wrong with a bit of confidence.
Exactly.
She was really ugly. Okay, like.
I totally believe. I'm with you. I totally believe you. So yeah, fuck that girl. Fuck that girl.
I'm so vain. It's this Hollywood. I'm telling you, I live in LA, and it's what happens. You just become so vain, so full of yourself. No, but I do acknowledge that, you know, all of the kids that were hurting me were probably hurting in their own way too, and that sucks. And you know, not to say I was never mean to anybody in middle school. Middle school, we're all horrendous to each other, because I mean, millennials, like our like way of like being like funny with each other when we were kids was just like being so mean, and like especially like Chicago kids, like I mean Chicago public school kids are petty. Like we're just very like roasting is like our, you know, sport that we're most known for. And you know, the teachers, even like we would roast the teachers. So like, I mean, yeah, it just makes sense. And, you know, I was pulled out of that school and transferred to a smaller school, and, you know, things changed. I had a smaller group of friends that were all really nice and got more invested into musical theater and started doing that, and really, really set my sights on like, I want to be on Broadway. But then in high school, like I kind of started getting into drugs, and, you know, I didn't really apply myself that well in school, and wasn't able to like get into any of the like musical theater programs that I really wanted to go to. And I ended up just going to like regular theater school and like learning just acting, you know, from a theater standpoint rather than my experience, which had been on set, very different. Theater requires a lot of stamina, you know, especially like diving into those circumstances of whatever character you're playing, like for 8 shows a week, which I have that experience, and it's very fun. It's electrifying. It's beautiful. But boy, that day off, you're just like a zombie.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah. That one day off they give you, that Monday off, you're dead. And of course, on that Monday off, you're probably like getting groceries and like working on, you know, other little side projects, you know, because it's your one day.
Your one day. You get.
But
life admin.
What's that?
Doing life admin.
Yeah. All of that.
So, go.
And so you've touched on it quite a few times. So let's talk about it. Your podcast. So it's obviously called Where Are We Now, which I think is a great concept. I absolutely love the concept of it. You know, where child actors are now or whatnot. What can you tell us about it then? What inspired you to be like, you know what, this sounds like a really great idea. This is what I want. You know, I'm going to bring to the forefold.
I had been seeing on TikTok this like rising of so many of the people who are in things that I devoured when I was a kid, like, you know, Lizzie McGuire, Degrassi, etc., you know, on TikTok, and being like, it's me, like, and I was doing the same thing. And I was just like, I want to meet her. I want to meet him. I want to talk to them. I want to like, you know, pick their brain about like what their experience of this very similar thing that we went through is like. And I just was like sitting within my Akashic records one day. And the messaging that I was receiving from like my guides, my like spirit guides, was like, you have the voice and the connections and the sense of humor to do this thing. And, you know, I worked with a business coach who has a podcast of their own, and like talked about, you know, just the idea itself. And she was just like, so here's everything that I did to get my thing launched. And we launched it within like 2 weeks. And I was like, all right, well, cool. And so, yeah, I in December, I bought this fancy microphone and, started toying around with the idea of doing a podcast and kind of dropping little tweet hints, like, and Instagram hints about maybe doing a podcast. And then in March, I started recording episodes, and it all fell together really nicely. I mean, I got all of the team that I wanted. Like, I got the graphic designer that I wanted. I got the music editor that I wanted. Mostly a team of women working on my show. And it's so far so good. We've got 2 episodes out as of today, April 9th. And, I listened to the second episode today while I was on my walk this morning, and I was just like, this is so fun. I'm so glad that I get to do this. This is so cool. Like, and I'm seeing a lot of, right before I came on this call, saw on TikTok, Allison Stoner, who was a young woman who was in the, all the Missy Elliott videos when she was a kid. She was like an amazing hip hop dancer, still is an amazing hip hop dancer. And she was in the Cheaper by the Dozen movies, and, did some Camp Rock on Disney and a bunch of other things. And now she's working on a project about the toddler to train wreck pipeline. And I'm really interested to like chat with her. A bunch of people were tagging me in the thing and were like, you got to go on Rivkah's podcast. And I was just like, oh my God, I hope she does. I hope she sees those comments.
Fingers crossed.
On the show.
Yeah. That's awesome.
It's such a cool, unique idea as well. And it's something, it's very unique to yourself, being a child actor. And I imagine it's got to be some form of like therapy for yourself to speak to people that are in like similar situations to yourself.
Yeah, it is very therapeutic. I think that a lot of my insanity comes from the fact that I always feel like I'm the only person who has this feeling. I'm the only person that has this thought. I'm the only person that feels this way about themselves or about this situation. And then talking to people one-on-one in general. I mean, this is like not just with my podcast, but like with addiction, with mental illness, and with queerness, and with, being Filipino and being a mixed person, like all of those things. Like, I always feel so alone. I always feel like I'm the odd one out because of when I was bullied in grade school, I was always made to feel the odd one out. And that's just like this repeated pattern for me that has been, something that I've been working through. And there's this like existential part of myself that kind of likes being left out because it allows me to like, validation seek and people please and stuff, and in a way that I like, some small part of me, like in a weird fucked up kinky way, likes it and is like, yeah, I actually like the guilt and the shame. And through working with therapy and many years of just like recovery around those like taxing and toxic thoughts and those patterns, like I'm just realizing like how not alone and how not unique I am in like, my circumstances, but then how unique my own voice is, that I am the right person to tell this story and to host this show. And that I am the person who, is gonna help eventually, hopefully, other child actors or parents of child actors to see the way that this shit affects us. And also we get to celebrate our like wins and our current, joys in life. For me, at least, the biggest takeaway of the episodes that I've recorded so far has been like, wow, like we really are just doing our thing now. And like, whether or not we're like in the public eye, we're still going to do what we're passionate about. And whether that's acting or crafting or, writing or water polo, like, we all have our things that we love to do. And it's just really exciting to get to know these folks that like had that very common, but uncommon experience. I mean, how many people can say that they, their work was, ingested by millions of people at the age of 10, 13, 16. Like, that's not very common.
Not at all.
And it's just very cool that like some force like chose us to get that experience, and that we get to connect with each other over it now.
That's amazing. I've downloaded both the episodes. I didn't get a chance to listen to them yet, but they are ready to listen to. I will be starting those as soon as I can.
Hell yeah.
So I just quickly wanted to briefly brush back and talk about the New York Post article and the blog piece. So what made you decide to come out and speak about all these things, especially so openly and honestly? And did you honestly expect the article to explode like it did? Because like every major British tabloid picked this article up. Like even the Daily Mail covered it over here.
Really?
Yeah,
oh, cool.
It was everywhere.
No, I did not expect it to blow up the way it did. I honestly, somebody from the New York Post reached out to me and was like, hey, do you want to talk about the Britney documentary? And I was just like, yeah. And we were talking about the Britney documentary, and then it just kind of became about me. And she was like, wait, I'm just like more interested in your experience of, you know, the childhood acting. And I was just like, yeah, I'm down to talk about it. And, you know, that in conjunction with the article that I wrote in March of 2020, it's like a little over a year ago now, I had seen some actor who had done a couple of episodes of, I think, Fresh Prince or something like that, was being like publicly like shamed on Twitter for like working in a grocery store now. And there's like people bullying him, like being like, oh, how sad.
I saw that. Yeah.
And I was just like, are you fucking kidding me? Like nobody knows how acting works. Like we're not making like $1 million per episode. Like that's not gonna like sustain us for the, especially like Fresh Prince was in like the 90s. Like that's not gonna sustain this guy, and he's not Will Smith. Like, you know, and how like terrible for people to shame him like that when like he clearly like, you know, whether he wanted to stay an actor or not is none of your fucking business. And like, you know, where he works now is none of your business, and just like leave people alone. And yeah. I went on like a Twitter rant, which nobody should allow me to have my phone before when I'm in it, you know, like, but I was in like a lot of rage around that time when that happened, and from outside circumstances, and then I'm probably political. But yeah, like I went on this little Twitter rant, and then I was just like, well, why don't I like write an essay about this and like my personal experience with it? I feel like that would make me feel a lot better about like some of my family stuff. It would make me feel a lot better about my career, scarcity mindset that I'm in. And so I wrote the piece, and then I held on to it for a couple months. And then when the quarantine happened, I was just like, you know what? Maybe it's time to tell my story. And I put the article Confessions of an Obsolete Child Actor up on Medium, and Medium picked it up, and then it got picked up by a bunch of other publications. And then right around the time when the podcast, you know, was in the development phase, this person from New York Post reached out and was like, we'd love to do a piece with you. I was just like, perfect timing. Let's get people, you know, on the Twitter and like ready to listen to my podcast. And yeah, of course, you know, again, going back to that thing of like, you know, a lot of good response, a lot of people being like in support and being like, I love the way that like you know, talked about your addiction and whatever. And then a couple people who like didn't read the article at all, and they just saw the, you know, poorly named article, because people have to make a paycheck somehow, and they have to like title these articles super like buzz like worthy, like baity. So the title of the article was like, School of Rock Star says the movie caused her to be bullied and like addiction or whatever. And a bunch of these like angry like incels on Twitter were just like, oh, like she blamed the movie on her addiction, like she did that to herself. And it's like, come on, like just read the article. Like if you read the article, there's nowhere in it that's like, I blame myself for the drugs that I put in my nose. You know, I'm not blaming the movie or, you know, the Hollywood. You know, I blame myself for the drugs that I did and for the ways that I spiraled. But, you know, yeah, actually Hollywood does have a lot to do with the way that kids, especially like female, feminine, whatever, you know, kids think about themselves, especially with their bodies and stuff. Like, you know, boys can get away with looking a certain kind of way, but like, you know, it was made very clear to me that I was not what Hollywood was looking for, you know, physically, appearance wise, you know, after a couple auditions for Disney and Nickelodeon, which is sad considering like
that's ridiculous.
It's fucking ridiculous considering how gorgeous I am. Like, again, going back to that. And like, I have absolutely no shame in saying, like, now today, 2021, at 28 years old, like how they were missing out, because I'm a talented kid, but at the same time, it wasn't meant for me to be Hannah Montana level. It wasn't meant for me to be, you know, Spy Kids level or whatever. But now that I've got, you know, several years of recovery and therapy under my belt, and, you know, sobriety and all that, like, and self-awareness under my belt, I feel like I've got so many tools with which I can help others. And my wish for, you know, anything that I write on the topic of child acting, and any podcast episode I put out there, you know, mine included, and, you know, this one included, and, you know, other shows that I guest on, like, my wish is that people understand and have like a little more compassion towards like the people in the industry that get treated like absolute garbage, when we're all human and we all are like extremely sensitive, like, and especially kids are so impressionable, that we should really be treating them with a lot more tenderness than we do, especially in Hollywood.
Yeah, I mean, when we announced that we were doing this interview with you, a couple of my friends reached out to me and said, we absolutely love them. You know, they're a massive inspiration to us. Everything, people got, literally quite a few comments from people saying how much they love you.
Well, that's sweet. I love them too.
So I'm stumbling over my own words here. So I saw that since you've joined Second City in Chicago to do comedy and you continue to act, I saw trailers for Bad Animal and Alex October, and they both look amazing, especially Bad Animal. I really like. I need to search that film out because it looks brilliant. It looked really good. And you continue to do your music, including singing, which I love, as it's amazing. I love the fact, you know, this stuff in the past, it didn't deter you. You're just like, do you know what? Okay, that I had a bit of a shit time then, but now, fucking going for it. I love singing. I'm going to sing. I love acting. I'm going to act. I love doing this. I'm going to do this. It's amazing. But what made you want to start a career in comedy?
I was not getting what I wanted out of so selfish. I was getting what I wanted out of theater school. I just was looking for more training. I'm a student. I love being a student. I love, you know, even though I didn't apply myself in high school, I love learning. I'm taking so many classes right now, like just online, just for fun. Like I'm taking business classes just because I want to learn about venture capitalism and stuff, and like crypto, and also how to like run you know, tarot online, you know, tarot and Akashic Records business, just because, you know, I want these like recession proof skills just in case something like COVID happens again in my lifetime. Like I want to be armed with these like facts and these numbers and these formulas for, you know, how to stay afloat during a global crisis, you know, if that ever happens again, especially with like climate change and everything. Like the world is probably going to fall apart while I'm on it. So like I want to be ready for doomsday. But I was, when I was a freshman in college, I had, of course, when I was a freshman in college, I was like, I'm not loving this. I'm like not feeling this. I'm going to stay in school, but I also want some outside training. So sorry, there's helicopters going by. The improv community in Chicago is so celebrated and so fun. And I would like go and see like sketch shows in, all around the city, like at Second City, IO, Annoyance. Chicago has, over like 1,000 improv teams. And I had done, little improv things in high school and taken classes then. And I was like, well, this would be like a fun way to deepen my acting, exercise. Because in auditions, they ask you to do improv all the time. They say like, they'll be like, okay, this one, have fun with the script. And what they really mean is do improv, like, take what you know of the story in the script and make it your own. And I was just like, I thought this would be a good idea to, get more skills for auditioning and for acting in general, because improv is highly reactive and you're just you. So you're listening really, you have to listen really, really hard. And it makes you just an all around better actor, more present, more impulsive, more, reactive. And I just ended up making a bit of a name for myself at Second City and IO, and, going through all their programs. And I went through the like IO improv school, and then I went through the Second City Musical Improv Conservatory, and then did the Bob Curry Diversity Fellowship, and got to do a couple of like one-off gigs with them, in Chicago, little corporate gigs, which was fun, nice, paycheck here and there. Second City's cool because they have like an industrial wing where they do like internal use only, like industrial content for brands and stuff. And I got to do some of those, which was really fun. Got to like read off a teleprompter and, be on a green screen, which was really cool. I have deep love for Second City, even though it's like a highly racist institution and has been under fire this year. After the Black Lives Matter protests in America started, a lot of these comedy institutions were called out for several years of just like abuse of their POC talent. But I did gain a lot. What I gained from Second City and IO was friends, like some of my closest friends that, oh my God, I'm like getting emotional thinking about it. Like I have so many like amazing friends in Los Angeles, Chicago, and New York who I met at Second City, like when we were just like babies, like playing pretend in this basement, like, together. And now like some of them are like mega famous. Like I have friends on SNL. I have friends that are like, out here, like doing TV work and film work and Broadway and stuff that when we met in Second City's little, hallowed halls, in those very racist halls. We met there and, especially the like Bob Curry folks, like the diversity initiative that they had there, like while it was like highly like problematic, like, like let's give you guys free classes and, you're not going to get paid to do all this work, but you're going to get exposure and like a bunch of agents are going to see you and maybe you'll get work off that. Like, but congrats, like, pretty much everyone that went through the Bob Curry Fellowship for my year and the year before that are like working actors, working performers and writers in writers' room for, Brooklyn Nine-Nine and Broad City and stuff like that. And everyone is just thriving. Everyone is really thriving despite all of the ickiness that happened in our time at Second City.
I was doing my research on you before we did this, and
I can tell.
Good. And that's two songs I discovered that you did. One, the name has completely escaped me, but it was about taking a dump and blaming it on a roommate. Had me in tears. The classic,
high art.
But the one that got me the most was "Forgot Your Name." I was sat there and thinking, why have I never heard this song before? I was like, first off, your voice is incredible, like ridiculously good.
I know, right?
But secondly, the song is hilarious. Like they will forever be called social meds to me forever.
That line, I don't do that line live because it's lost on people. When I perform it live, I change it to, what is it? Oh God. I haven't done a live show in so long. It's been quite literally a calendar year. Okay, so what is it in the video? It's like, I asked for your handle, but you're not on social
media.
in the live performance, I say, I ask how you spell it, and you say the normal way, because that hits different like live than in social media, because I feel like that goes over people's heads and they're like, what? But yes, social medias.
It's just brilliant, so funny. But I was listening to it, I was thinking, obviously these songs were done as part of like comedy and whatnot, but have you ever thought about doing like writing, recording your own album, even if it's like a comedy album? Just because it's so good.
Yeah, I've got but it's really funny over the years working at Second City and doing like improv and sketch around Chicago and whatnot. I developed a bit of a desire to do solo content, and I would go to the open mics, and instead of doing like a 15-minute, like, or not 15, geez, nobody gets 15 at an open mic. We fucking wish. But like, instead of doing like a little, 3-minute stand-up set, I would just like do a song or do like 30 seconds of like 3 different songs. And that would be my like time. And I'd be like, do you guys like that? Like, and I would like build my work essentially in the Second City way, like which is from improv to written to polished pieces. And the first, like I mentioned, one of the shows that I would do pretty regularly took place in an attic in my friend's apartment in Chicago called The Shithole. And I was asked last minute, they were like, hey, like, Riv, we have a slot open for tonight. Do you want to come in and do a set at Shithole tonight? And I was just like, yeah, hell yeah. And, I was just like not feeling any of my material. And I was just like, one night I was just like, I'm just going to write something like the day of this show. And I wrote this stupid fucking song about like getting my ass ate for the first time. And like, it ended up being like my like pièce de résistance, like, throughout my career in Chicago, like, oh, Rivkah, like the one who does the song about butthole, like, and I became the butthole girl in Chicago. I was like, well, hey, I'd take butthole girl over School of Rock girl for a little while. I'll take it, and yeah, I ended up like, getting together a repertoire of songs that were comedic in nature. And then every once in a while I'd be asked to do a longer set. Like if I was ever asked to do like a 40-minute set, I could do like all of my funny songs and then incorporate like a cover here and there, like do like a, Alanis Morissette song or sing one of my songs that I've written that is very serious. And it was funny because these people are expecting a comedy show. So sometimes if I was performing one of my serious songs, they would like laugh because some of the lyrics, I guess, are still kind of funny in the context of a comedy show. And that was always such a bizarre experience. But yeah, before I left Chicago in January of 2020, I did a like show with a full band where I did all of my comedic stuff and a couple of covers. And that was dreamy. It was so fun. A couple of my friends played for me. I had a drummer, a bassist, and a pianist, and I played guitar on most of the songs. But I would love to get back to doing that, like, with a different band probably, but like, cause we're, they're all in Chicago. But yeah, that was so fun. And I'd love to do a live album. I think that would be really tight.
Would you ever bring the show over here?
I love England. I was in Colchester randomly.
That's random.
It's very random place.
Christmases ago, yeah. Somebody I was dating, their family was from Colchester, so I was there for. I went there for holiday in 2019.
Pretty fucking good.
Oh, thank you. It gets worse and worse. It gets worse and worse. When I was at the grocery store, I went on a date at the grocery store today.
What?
This morning, yeah, like I went on my like long ass walk, and then I met up with this person at a grocery store, and we were sitting outside because in LA the grocery stores have like dining areas outside.
Oh, okay.
It's like hot. It's hot. It's summer year round, you know. So we were like drinking smoothies, and this like song by this British singer came on, and I was just like, I love this song. It's so British. And she was like, what do you mean? And then the voice comes in, and it's like, me and you went to hell and back when you found me. It's just very, very British. And she was like, oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah, totally bring it over here. If you can get over here when obviously COVID decides to fuck off, then please come over.
I want to. I have my passport. I've been half vaccinated, and I have my second dose next week. So I'm hoping to do some domestic or some international travel by myself, which I've never done that, because that trip that I was out in England a couple years ago was with like a boo of mine, and like that was cool. We went to London for one day, which was really nice, but for the most part we were in Colchester. Just so random.
Yes. It's not the nicest of places.
It was so cute. And then we went into Mersey, I believe, like little fishy area.
Okay.
And we got some good fish, seafood, but yeah, for the most part we were in Colchester.
Okay. But yeah,
but the one day we spent in London was really cool. I got to see Platform 9 3/4, which, you know, as a giant Harry Potter nerd, no, not so much anymore, because Harry Potter now has this like layer of transphobia and anti-Semitism around it. But
very slightly.
a subtle drip of transphobic and fatphobic and anti-Semitic ism around it. It's not very nice.
No.
Yeah, we don't claim J.K. Rowling anymore. But what else did we do? We went into Shoreditch and, you know, walked around and went shopping, and we went up to the pickle. What is the gherkin?
Gherkin?
There's a building that looks like a gherkin.
I'm just trying to think. The Shard?
The Shard. Yes.
Yeah, the Shard, yeah.
We went to the Shard and we saw the gherkin from the Shard.
I'm about to look it up now.
Yeah, there's a building called the Gherkin. It's at 30 St. Mary Axe.
So what?
No idea what this is.
I was going to say yes, there is. Yes, there's a gherkin there somewhere. Yes.
There's a bullet. It's a bullet-shaped office tower, known as.
I know what you mean now.
Okay.
Yes.
Where are you guys?
I'm in Birmingham.
I'm currently in Bristol, but I live in Cardiff.
Cardiff. I love British names and stuff of things.
Cardiff's in Wales as well. So it's the Welsh capital city.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
I love that.
It's a decent city, but I'm at my girlfriend's. I just have the beautiful decor behind me.
Yeah.
I'm in my girlfriend's apartment, as you would call it.
Flat.
So, yeah. Flat, yes.
I watch way too much Love Island, so I get all my dialect.
No.
Work. I know, it is trash. I love it. I love it so much. I hate to love it. I love the Scouse girls on that show. They're so I can't understand a fucking word they say.
Neither can we, don't worry.
What was that?
I said neither can we, don't worry.
Yeah.
I can't really say that Birmingham is unique for England though, because you've got one too. So
Yeah. I think we do have a Birmingham in America.
Alabama.
Yeah. There it is.
Yeah.
There it is. I love that. Yeah, I love that you guys didn't know what the gherkin was, and I did. Is it not a thing?
I mean, it's probably one of the most famous buildings that we're just like, we have no idea what's going on, and then we're looking and go, oh, it was that.
Yeah, we did go to the Shard. And then we went to we could see, I think what it was we could see the gherkin from the Shard.
For people that don't know what we're talking about, it's like, you can see the gherkin from the Shard. What the fuck?
Talking about? Are you having a stroke? It sounds like I'm having a stroke. can see the gherkin from the shard. Or like I'm talking Sims, like, you know, the Sims, how they were like Snorgle, Gorgon.
Is that a Swedish Sims?
Yes.
Yes.
The Swedish Sims. It's so funny. There's a video circulating of Katy Perry singing her song Last Friday Night in Simlish, which is Sim English. It's like fleeble deeple label deeps. Like, it's so stupid.
That's like my new favorite song now. I'm listening to that later.
It's so good. It's addicting.
I have not heard of that. Anyway, probably pull it back on track, really, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
So, but before we start wrapping things up, I did want to touch briefly on your name, because now I know people who know you from your past work, like School of Rock and whatnot, will see the name Rebecca Brown. They're not going to see Rivkah Reyes.
Uh-huh.
So what led you to deciding to change your name, and where did the name come from?
Yeah, I'm happy to answer that question. The name Rivkah is the decolonized version of my old name. And Reyes is the last name of one of my ancestors, and it means kings. And I thought it was I liked the alliteration of my old stage name, which in Chicago, and, you know, for the last several years, I was known to the public as Becca Brown, which is so funny. I when I say it, it feels foreign. I don't particularly love saying it, or like being like anyone calling me by that name anymore. And like, when it happens, I'm just like, it's jarring. And I sometimes still get emails like from companies that I haven't unsubscribed from that are like, "Hey, Becca," and I'm like it's just so gross. It's like so gross. But yeah, I think being able to decolonize my name, and, you know, even last name Brown too, like my dad, you know, his side is Jewish from, you know, he's Ashkenazi Jewish. And I guess when his ancestors came to America, they gave them the last name Brown because they had brown hair. But their actual last name was much more Jewy, that they wanted to like let them fly under the radar, I guess. And so I think that's like such a fucked up thing that like happens to, you know, people of color, Jewish people, etc. And like being able to reclaim this name that was always meant to be my name, you know, which I did find within the Akashic records, and I talk about that on TikTok quite a bit. You know, it feels much more ancestor affirming, gender affirming. I love the nickname Riv. When people call me Riv, it just makes my heart so happy, because I never felt like a connection to my old name. I actually just got a little necklace. I got a little necklace that says Rivkah, because I never got stuff really with my name on it. I never I don't know. I never felt a connection to my old name, but this, ever since August, which is when I officially made the change, like, you know, I want to put my name on everything. I want to have, you know, my name on marquees and, you know, neon lights and stuff. And it's kind of a reclaiming of that too, because my mom would always say, like, we gave you the name we gave you because we saw that name in the lights. And I was just like, okay, well, that's not going to happen. Sorry. But, you know, I do think that the name Rivkah Reyes has even like, I mean, fuck star quality, whatever that is. Like, you know, there's a person named Jake Gyllenhaal that's famous, and like that's such a like a clunky, weird fucking name, but like, you know, like Gyllenhaal.
Jake Gyllenhaal's just like, what the fuck did I do to you?
I love you, Jake. I love Jake Gyllenhaal so much. He's so talented. Seen him in Sunday in the Park with George, and he is iconic. He's such a great singer and actor, and I love him. The name is so clunky. And you know what? Who am I to fucking say anything about it? That's a family name, and you know, he could have done what a lot of people have done and just go by Jake Hall and shorten it and make it more pronounceable for the whites. But no, he took his, he claimed his whatever ancestry, I'm sure Iceland, I don't know, that is, and went for it. And, I think that it is important to, and we just saw Tandiwe Newton reclaim the original spelling of her name, which is fucking beautiful. And I think the world is heading towards decolonization and, reclaiming of indigeneity and culture outside of Eurocentrism and whiteness, which is really beautiful. But yeah, fuck star quality. I think my name Rivkah Reyes is just a superhero name. I feel it's
badass name.
Yeah. It literally means, and my middle name that I've given myself is Juno, which is the goddess of love.
All right.
So my name literally, when you just say it out, is captivating goddess of love king.
Incredible.
Badass name. It's powerful.
It fits.
Amazing. Tom, have you got anything else you wanted to add?
Just want to say that massively admire you. I think you're a huge inspiration. I genuinely have really enjoyed listening to you, your story and everything. And I've just found a whole new love for you, Riv. I really have. I just think you're a true angel.
Oh, thanks, bruv. I'm sorry.
It's all right. It's I don't blame you at all, to be fair. I suppose you can do it earlier.
We've opened Pandora's box of that accent now. It ain't going nowhere.
It's happening. It's not going anywhere. I've also recently finished the season of UK Drag Race, which RuPaul comes into the workroom every week and she goes, "You're right, babes," and I think it's so cute. And they're oh god, I love British drag is so good. And yeah, I just thank you guys so much for having me on, and it was so lovely chatting with you.
It was beautiful. Loved
you guys have got good banter.
Cheers, love.
True fucking bants.
Proper bants.
Proper bants. I got to do a lot of Pinter in college, Pinter plays, which, we had to do the British accent for it because the dialogue didn't make any sense if we were just Americans saying "Are you mucking around with girls at night, are you?" So we did mucking around with girls in the night.
Oh, phenomenal.
Love it. Love it.
But just quickly before we get out of it, we have a little game we like to play with our guests.
Yes, I love a game.
Wonderful. I love it. Basically, we just call it the quick fire round. We shoot 5 questions at you and you answer them as quick as you can. It's really very simple.
Great.
People always seem really pressured until they hear the first question. Oh, what the fuck am I worrying about? Here we go. First question. Favorite pizza topping?
Olives. Sorry.
Oh, that's all right. It's interesting answer, though.
First concert you ever went to?
Elton John? No, that was my second concert. Santana.
Oh, wow. That's too iconic, but that's incredible.
Yeah, my dad had impeccable taste. Still does.
That's amazing.
Amazing.
Your favorite Muppet?
Ooh. I like Kermit. I gotta say, I think Miss Piggy and Kermit are just such an iconic gay duo. They're trans and they're both so cute. I love them so much. Honestly, Kermit is great.
Your favorite chocolate / candy bar?
Ooh. Well, if we're going American, I really like a good old Snickers bar. But if we're going British, I really like the Flake.
Oh, yes. I had a flake.
I don't know why you said that. I don't know why.
I had a flake earlier on today.
You had a flake earlier on today.
I did.
I haven't. I used to order them on Amazon, to get shipped to the United States like a fucking weirdo. But now it's I'm only going to do that when I'm in the UK.
That's incredible. Who would play you in the movie of your life?
Me.
Perfect answer.
Yeah.
Perfect
Absolutely
answer.
me.
Perfect
Like,
answer.
there's no one better.
1,000,000%.
And last but not least, a piece of advice you would give to the younger version of yourself.
I love that. Did you? That's so fun. I asked that of my guests on my podcast. Today I would say you are doing an excellent job. Keep doing what you're doing, and don't let anyone make you feel like you're less than. Would my little child listen to that? Probably not. She'd be like, "Who are you, weirdo? Get out of my bedroom." But I have to remind myself on a constant basis that like I am doing a great job at what I'm doing, and like if people don't like it, they don't like it, and they are making room for more people who will like it. So yeah, and also like don't dim your shine. Don't dim your shine. Don't you forgive yourself for being special, little Riv. And I love you.
That. I love that. Don't dim your shine.
Beautiful.
That's what you need cross-stitched on a little plaque. That's amazing. That's a saying. That is, don't dim your shine. I like that.
Yeah, I am due to get another one soon. I really want another one. So yeah, maybe I'll hit up my girl.
Incredible.
Do it.
Right, before we get out of here, just give us any plugs, websites, stores, social medias, anything you want people to follow.
Yeah. I am at Rivkah.Reyes on Instagram and TikTok. Please follow my TikTok. I love TikTok. It is so fun. Even if you're old and a millennial like me, TikTok is okay for you to be on. You learn so much more than you think you will when you are on that platform. I have learned more in my year on TikTok than I have in college. Yeah, Rivkah, that's RIVKAH .REYES on Insta and TikTok. And then on Twitter, I'm just Rivkah Reyes, no dot. My podcast is called Where Are We Now? We have an Instagram and it's at Where Are We Now Pod. And you can subscribe to my Patreon, which is patreon.com/Rivkah Reyes, to get some BTS content, spicy content. There's early access to all the episodes of Where Are We Now, as well as some unreleased music and stuff that I shan't publicize because it's too precious to my heart. But I feel like the patrons, it's a community of folks that I want to keep, them spiritually fed with my music.
Beautiful. Riv, thank you so much. Absolutely genuine pleasure and loved talking to you today.
Incrediable.
Thank you. I'm sorry I couldn't hold back with the accent. I've been on so many British podcasts recently. My self-control it's awful. I can't do it.
I'm so pleased you did it. Surprised you didn't do it, like I said.
Surprised you didn't do the whole show like it.
Sometimes I'll go live on TikTok and just like dip in and out of a British accent, and people will be like, "I didn't know you were British," and I'll be like, "Oh my god, thank you."
Absolutely fantastic. But please enjoy the rest of your day. All right, you take care, and hopefully we'll speak to you soon.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear the episode. Thanks, guys.
You're very welcome.
Thank you so much. It's been amazing.
Bye.
Bye.
Hi, I'm Frank Guglielmelli, and I'm the narrator for some wonderful audio dramas from Syscast, like Marty and Mars, Bounty Hunters, and a great part in Val Toby, with much more to come. You can find these programs on Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts, or head over to our website, www.syscast.com. We are excited to announce that we are now affiliated with the Chronicles of Podcast with Tom and Jamie.